is by Pam Muñoz Ryan, and it's illustrated by Ralph Masiello. I am a big graphics art guy, so I love picture books. I love illustrations. I can tell you that when I got to whatever grade they took the pictures out of the books I was severely disappointed. I did not understand how they wanted me to keep reading books without pictures. So this book is called The Flag We Love, and I think the illustrations are really cool. This is the title page. The title page would normally be right inside the front cover. And then there may be another page, which I don't know what the name of it is, but it'll have a lot of other more detailed information about when the book was published. Sometimes you will see authors' tributes, or they would just credit someone and or put in a great a quote that they like. So this one at the heart there at the top, you see it says, "To my children, Marcy, Annie, and Matthew, and Tyler." It looks like it's from the author. And then down there where the duck is, and these are hand tools. Can you see my arrow as well when I do things like this? Yeah. So fantastic. So you can see these are wood cutting tools that somebody. The illustration is of this duck that was cut out of wood, sitting on the flag, and so that's a picture by the illustrator in loving memory of his dad, or their dad, a true artist and a great American. So those are kind of cool things that you can read inside of a story. You can always find, or you sometimes can find copyright dates. So this book was originally, or was published in 1996. So here we go. And I wonder if you think about, as I read a little bit of my cadence, if that means anything to you. Our flag is our country's symbol of ideals that are meant to last. It's a promise for our future, a reminder of our past. The many connotations for which our banner stands reflect our country's best intentions and the people of this land. So I don't know how many of you get out to the countryside, but this looks very much like the rural community around Elkhart County, right? You see isolated farmhouses and plowed fields and so on. A seamstress stitched a banner for a country proud and new, from ribbon works of red, white, and a yard of deep sky blue. I am not going to go into all of the extra information here. The books are available for your teacher, and so you guys can have access to them, I believe, through Scholastic, and you can read these prompts at your discretion, or as it's available to you. So there's a great illustration of someone hand stitching a flag. It is hard for me to imagine that all of our clothes at one time were hand stitched. If you think about everything you're wearing right now, that's pretty amazing that someone, that's not anymore, but used to, folks would make clothes out of just putting pieces of cloth together and stitching it. A teacher raises a radiant flag to let the children know the schoolyard is a place to come for a chance to learn and grow. So this obviously is a schoolyard from probably the 1860s, 1870s, maybe a little later than that. It's hard to tell from the clothes that they're wearing, but this little boy's wearing what they called a coonskin cap. The pole is made out of wood, and the roof is made out of wood logs. So it's a pretty old. It was a pretty long time ago. Americans stand together before ceremonies start and promise their allegiance with their hands across their hearts. Does your class say the Pledge of Allegiance?
We do.
Yeah. So now I think they have taken the story from 150 years ago up to modern day, based on the based on the clothing. The diligent stars and stripes waved on through the long and pounding night, while patriots prayed that they would see their flag at morning light. So at times in the United States, the flag has been used for inspiration in very significant battles. This one's talking, is talking about a battle in Baltimore Harbor and Francis Scott Key observing the flag flying above the battle. And this illustration is of that battle. So this is he's on a boat in the harbor and smoke all around, and he observed the American flag flying and gave him inspiration. A casket draped with a solemn flag journeyed the countryside, while people came from town and field to mourn the man who died. I believe this is referring to President Lincoln, who was one of our presidents who was assassinated. Dearly beloved president even to this day, and his casket was train rode through the countryside, and people would walk out and pay their respects to the train going through the country. Explorers carried a weary flag through snow and sun and wind, and left the banner on the spot that marked their journey's end. So when people would explore different areas, they would often carry the American flag to the top of Mount Everest, or in a journey across the country. Children wave their festive flags and parade along the way as the drum roll and trumpet blare the rhythm of the day. So how many of you, thumbs up or nodding heads, have seen a parade? Been to a parade in Elkhart, Goshen?
No one's seen a parade before?
Yeah, a couple. So often in our parades, the flag will be at the beginning of the parade. There will be men and women in uniform marching with the flag. And then 4th of July, Memorial Day are big flag parade days. So here they're illustrating a group of children probably getting ready for a parade, to march in a parade with their flags and their wagons. Athletes strain to be the best, to the wild and thunderous roar of fans who chant their country's name with hopes their team will score. This is another area where the Olympics. Have you guys heard of the Olympics? Every 4 years, yeah. So it's a big contest with multiple different sports. We have summer and winter Olympics, and hundreds of countries will come and compete. But when you win, so if you win the gold medal in the Olympics, if you're the number one competitor, they raise that country's flag and play that country's national anthem. And you will often see runners, well, not just runners, I mean, almost anybody that will drape themselves with the flag if they win a race. When people come to our great country aboard ships that cross the sea, they are welcomed to our harbors by the flags of liberty. So have you all heard of the Statue of Liberty? Yeah. Stands as a beacon. When you arrive, often even not through a common port like a New York port, but many of our ports along the coast will fly a flag on a lighthouse that is a signal for boats as they're approaching. Astronauts planted a peaceful flag on a far off distant world where it stands serene and silent with the stars and stripes unfurled. Does anybody know where they're talking about there? I saw Landon's hand go up first, so maybe Landon could unmute and say where that's at.
The moon.
You got a pretty good hint there behind you, Landon. But yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right. Anyways, yeah, we have a picture of an astronaut landing on the moon. Good job, Landon. And again, really, really cool illustration of the astronaut suit and the flag, and I love the headpiece. This reflective glass that is reflecting the flag. It's really well done illustration. Heroes shoulder valiant flags twice, 3 times, and more, and claim the front of battlefields on home and distant shores. So we often use flags to honor our veterans who lose their lives as a result of war. Citizens march for freedom with action, faith, and word. A righteous banner guarantees their voices will be heard. So the flag not only stands for a symbol that we utilize for winning a race or landing or having an achievement like landing on the moon, but it represents it's a representation. It's a symbol of many freedoms that we have in the United States. And the freedom they're talking about here is freedom of speech, which is protected under your First Amendment rights. The other right that they're portraying here, which is really important currently, it's been in the news a lot, is voting. So you have a right to vote that's protected, and the flag is a symbol of that, and it's very important to me. And it would be, I would just say to you that your right to vote is very, very important, and you should treat it as such. And it's a way that the politicians can hear your voice. You have a voice through your vote. A brilliant flag is shining in a fireworks of light, while the people watch in wonderment in the deepening, darkling night. Miss Hardy, is darkling a word? I don't think I've ever heard that. In the deepening.
It is.
Okay, thank
you.
That's an interesting word for me. Has anybody picked up on the cadence yet? I'm going to ask Miss Hardy to call on someone for this because I don't necessarily know I can see everybody. Has anyone picked up on the cadence of the book and what I mean by that? Maybe Miss Hardy could also give an example of what I mean by that, because I might not be explaining it very well.
Has anybody picked up on it?
No.
Mr. Sharper, why don't you explain to them a little more what you're talking about first? I think I know 3 people that they'll understand exactly what you're saying.
I hope I can,
Okay.
without giving it away. So the way that the book is written is a certain style, and I've tried to highlight it through the way that I've read it. But it's not just a regular book. There's a little bit of a sing-songy way that I've been speaking that's called something, or that there's a name for it.
And we talk about it a lot.
You might have wonderful, beautiful books of blank that you really, and oftentimes they're shorter. They're not as long as a normal book. So you can see the structure of the page is a real, it's a micro, a smaller section. Did that help any?
It did, because that's how I would explain it. Landon, do you know?
Rhyming?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a name for that.
Katie, you had your hand up? No?
No. So it's a book. I would call it poetic. You would have books of poetry.
Poetry.
Yeah. So probably makes more sense now. So look at that. So I wish I could illustrate like that, right? Really hard to draw fireworks. That's a really well done. And it's really hard to draw a flagpole and a flag waving like that, just in general. But with a night sky and the fireworks going off in the background, I just think it's a really cool illustration.
I think this by far is the best page of the book.
Oh.
I love the illustration.
A citizen wears a symbol, a tiny flag-shaped pin, as a promise for our future and a reminder of where we've been. There was a recent YouTube video that featured a young man talking to Joe Biden, and he pulls his lapel pin off, this flag lapel pin, and pins it on that little boy's t-shirt. And I don't know how you can watch that and not be moved by it. It was an incredible gesture, and the boy was not much younger or older than you guys. You guys are second grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How old is second grade? 7, 8?
Between 7 and 8.
Yeah, so he was probably 6, 7, and the president-elect bent down, was talking to him, took his lapel pin. So you see a lot of politicians wearing. A lot of politicians wear flag lapel pins. And in that case, he took it off and put it on a little boy's shirt. And it was just a really nice act of generosity. Oh, here's an example. Another good illustration of what I was talking about. But in this case, it was a man giving it to a young boy. Celebrate the flag we love, a majesty in the sky, and feel the pride that swells inside as our banner goes streaming by. And that is the final page of the book. By a show of thumbs up or hands waving, what did you think about that book? Getting the slow clap from Landon. Casey's a thumbs up. Krisha, very good. So the books are going to be different every week. They are, they're always going to be illustrated because I'm always going to try and pick a book with really cool illustrations. Do we have questions? Can I see the chat, or do we have questions in the chat?
Yeah, if you want to see the chat, just tap on the little notepad at the top, and it'll bring it up on the side.
And I don't see anything there.
So are you on a computer or a laptop?
I'm on a computer.
Okay. So I'm on my laptop, and what I see is I'll see the little bodies, and it'll tell me how many people are in the chat. And then right next to it, it looks like a chat bubble or like a little notepad with lines.
Yeah.
And then you can click on that. Do you see that?
Yeah, and I've got Caden.
Yeah, Caden's the only one that's been using the chat.
So I would be happy to. We're at my time, but I'm happy to hang on for a few more minutes. Does anybody have any questions about the book or about me that you would like to ask?
Caden has a question.
Oh, Caden.
Kaden, come on. We're on limited time. Do you have a question?
Yeah. There's a lot of things about flags that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying that, and I really think it's something that could be you could have a whole course on. So there are a ton of I don't want to call them rules or laws, but like, for instance, a flag is never, ever supposed to touch the ground. And if it does touch the ground, you're supposed to burn it. I think that's right. I think you're supposed to dispose of it. And one of the ways to dispose of an American flag is to burn it in honor. But there are a ton of different, like it's not supposed to be portrayed inappropriately, and you see it often on people's clothing, and sometimes it's appropriate.
Alessandra. Sorry, Mr. Cyber.
It's all right, and sometimes it's not. So you could do an in-depth study on the flag, and then watch. I have a neighbor every year, gosh love them, that puts flags out in their yard, and I drive by and they're almost, many of them are touching the ground, and I think, oh no, you should find a different way to do that, because you're honoring the flag and you don't even know it. So it is a symbol. It is not us. It's a symbol of the United States. It is not it is a symbol of what we are. It is not more important than you all. We are the United States, and this flag is a representation of us. And so it does have some, I'm not sure what the right word is, but we do honor it, or we do respect it, and we should be careful about how we use it. So thanks for saying I'm cool. I appreciate that. Any little bit helps, guys. And I look at this beard and it keeps getting grayer, and I think, man, I'm getting old. I will be back with you next week at the same time with a different book, and we will read again together. I really, really appreciate your attention and your courtesy and your questions, and I'm very excited to be reading to your classroom.